Football Manager has just released the next update on what we have coming up for FM24. You can find it on their website. Smarter transfers, squad building, and finance is the topic that is being released today. Of course, we got the things like set pieces coming next week. And remember, if you do want to purchase the game, I've got a lovely discount code when you buy through my link at the top of the description. It all helps the channel. So thank you very much for that. So let's have a dive into this, because this is one of the things that I was really curious with. This and the set pieces is the smarter transfers, how to offload players. Now, there isn't a lot about the offload players, unfortunately. It looks like that might be coming later. However, there are some really cool stuff in here, so let's discuss it, to be honest, because I think there are good and bad things with this in regards to how we're going to play Football Manager going forward. Not bad as in, I wish it was never integrated into the game, but it could cause trouble for people like my dad, who maybe financially is not the best on Football Manager, but he's still learning. So let's take a look. It's not just recruitment that's been made smarter. We've put a vast work into upgrading the in-game finance system to ensure that there are greater dynamism and volatility in every career. That's what I'm talking about. You've really now got to be a little bit careful with your finances, because this could actually bite you in the ass by the looks of it. So, first off, brace for more transfer battles. Now, this part here is talking more about how the AI is going to work now. And I absolutely love this, because I don't know whether people do like a lot of journeyman saves, but what I find when I do a journeyman save on like FM23, for example, Glory Hunter, every now and then you'll join a club and they're like missing, like they got no low left backs. But where's all the left backs gone? Well, they've sold them because the AI manager before that wasn't as smart as what potentially we could have now. So, because it's evolving, as a result of these recent global developments, we've made some wider coding changes to FM24 to reflect those trends in every year. All the players go to Saudi Arabia. No, it's not that. But it's talking about how our rivals now buy and sell players with a clear identity. Yes. So we're going to see the likes of Pep Guardiola look for players who have good passing ability, that type of thing. We've done a lot of work under the hood to improve their transfer market decision-making. All for that. Smarter opposition recruitment is in order of the day for FN24, with the AI managers now programmed to consider factors like form and reputation more than ever so before. I'd argue that they already did that, because I think like I could have almost like a terrible player, but if he's scoring loads of goals, he's wanted. But if I don't play a player, I find it really hard to sell them. So I wish we had a little bit more information about the offload players, because that's the thing I struggle with the most. I can easily sell a player that's actually scoring goals. But it's, I mean, I'm intrigued to see what the smarter opposition recruitment is for when they're in form and their reputation is, because yeah, like I say, I always thought it was quite easy to do that anyway for players that were in form, but maybe it's something that they're having to make it, I don't know, make it different at least. But this is what I love the most about this little snippet of information for the transfer battles. AI managers are now better geared up to recognize imbalances in their squad. No more no left backs, Luke. Thank you very much. And will take their tactical style into consideration much more when shortlisting players. Yes. In essence, this means that they'll look to fill attribute gaps in their squad. So a manager using Gegenpress, which, the likes of Klopp, etc., approached, look specifically for midfielders with high stamina and work rate attributes if they determine that their squad is missing such a player. I love that. And I think obviously that makes the game a lot more realistic, in a sense that these managers are going to be asking for those types of players to fit their system. Because, I mean, I didn't see it too much in FM23, but occasionally you'd see, I don't know, a manager sign like a winger when they play a narrow formation, and you always think, why have they done that? And then the player never plays. So things like that obviously can happen, but hopefully this is now going to avoid that, and it's going to stop that from happening, at least, because they're going to be smarter and use their money a little bit more wiser. But it also could be, if you're playing Gegenpress, you're going to be battling for these players a lot more, according to this. Their approach will now be a lot stronger focus on the player's potential ability rather than current ability when players are looking for a backup rotation options of an established first-team starter. Again, I didn't think that was too much of a problem in the game. You always see like the best clubs go for the biggest wonder kids, or the up-and-coming wonder kids. So, yeah, okay. That improved logic also applies to outgoing transfers, with AI clubs now making much more considered and contextual decisions concerning loans for young players. It was felt that if a player was lacking in terms of physicality, the club would try to facilitate a move to a more physical team to improve the aspect of the player's development. I just wish, I mean, they haven't mentioned it, but the loans, they are broken kind of in Football Manager 2023, because I felt like if you try and loan a player in the Championship from a Premier League team, especially one of the top four, anybody who's like actually good enough to play in the Championship, they would cost you an absolute arm and a leg. Like, you're talking, you'd have to pay monthly fees out of your ears, which I know happens in loan deals, but not so much when they're going down to the Championship for young developing players. That happens when it's a first teamer, like a João Felix, for instance. I can understand why you're going to be paying 500 grand a month extra on top of all his wages and bonuses. But when it's like a youngster and you're like, I'm giving this guy game time, that's what I wanted to see. So whether this has that in that, and if, like, you know, we're not going to rip you off now when we're trying to loan you these players, we'll see, I guess. Ultimately, this suite of changes means that your opponents will make more informed, reactive squad-building decisions. I hope this means that the game can be a little bit more difficult. I understand that, obviously, you don't want to make it too difficult for new people coming in and just make it impossible. And obviously, when you're a lower down team, it almost makes that too much impossible. But I mean, I'll go back to it again. I mentioned it ages ago. Sliders in the game would be amazing. If we had like a difficulty slider to say how good and how smart the opposition were with transfers and how difficult they are going to be to bargain with and stuff when you're buying players, that type of thing, or, you know, how smart they are tactically, or stuff like that, I think would be a massive improvement into the game, because obviously it would give new people the option to go on easy mode and obviously help them get and learn the game and how to play it, and then a medium option for, you know, for the casuals, and, you know, the hardcore version for me. No, you know, everybody, to be honest, if they want to go a little bit more hardcore. Okay, so that's the smarter transfer aspect. Variations to player development, which is also kind of included in that. The change in recruitment decisions of your opposition managers. Okay, there are some upgrades to the way your rivals pick their matchday squads. Previously, AI teams were less likely to pick youth prospects in the first team because they had low current ability scores. That's true. Even in the Barcelona save recently, I've been complaining about exactly the same thing. I'm allowing the AI to pick the team because it's a director of football save, but he's not picking the up-and-coming youngsters that, with a little bit of game time, will be a better player than the player that you're actually picking. This obviously mentions about that. We have also worked on how the AI prioritize matches throughout the season, which should see an improvement rotation to help aid player development. Again, really good. I like that stuff. Elsewhere, we've also made some tweaks to player development. Okay. Some will see an accelerated improvement in their teenage years before hitting their potential ceiling earlier on. Meanwhile, a new system has been introduced to recognize late developers, or those players who don't break through until slightly later than would be considered typical. I love that. I just wish we had a way of knowing how that happens, because, for instance, when we're doing content on it and we want to create players who are like that, we would know the exact attributes to do that. I don't know whether that's going to come about when we have a look at, like, you know, the editor, and it says, like, you know, maybe there's a new attribute that contributes towards that. Before it was professionalism, but that kind of meant, like, if they had a low professionalism, they might never develop. They sometimes would. But if you had high professionalism and you start giving them game time, they just, they develop very quickly. So I don't know whether that's got anything to do with it, whether it's professionalism, whether it's a new attribute. But I'd like to know how that happens for these late developers, because that's a very fun video, and also very fun for people to find out about and play around with in their games, just casually, to be honest. The other aspect of transfers we've made amends to is the in-game transfer histories. Here we've upgraded the user interface and giving you the ability to filter league transfer histories by ins and outs. Okay, that's good. Balance in the books. This is more about financial now. Now, we can see here one of my biggest gripes. The skin hasn't changed much. I was hoping we'd see a bit more of a bigger skin, a bit more of a better skin, obviously, because there's so much wasted space all the time. So much wasted space. Make all of this bigger. Look, all of this space here and there and there. Make those numbers bigger. I don't understand why. Just make that number, because I'm like, most people got to put their glasses on. Is that 20,000? I can't tell. Make it bloody bigger. You've got all that space down here. It's one of my biggest gripes with the default skin, and even some skin creators don't quite give out the best. And I'm here to praise, and I'm here to pick out the things that I wish were slightly better. I'm not, harping on or attacking Football Manager in any way. I just wish that would happen, because I don't understand why we've got all of this wasted space down the bottom now, when we could have this across like 3 lines. Trans budget, woof, 20 million. Like, whoa, I'm over-exaggerating, but you kind of get the picture, because everything is just so small, and yet there's so much space down here with nothing in it, and that's pretty much every single page on Football Manager. Anyway, let's have a look at the actual what's involved. Balancing the books. Connected to these transfer markets, we've also made several upgrades to the finances system for Football Manager 2024 to better reflect the way it works in modern football. Okay, anything that adds realism, I'm all for. So, yes, let's go. Across the game, we've added a number of news items and improved some existing ones to provide you with greater clarity on your income and expenditure, which is one of these down here, okay? This is talking about negative transfer budget. So if you now go over your transfer budget, you now get a negative transfer budget where you go into the red, you'll receive an inbox item that informs you you'll either sell players or transfer clauses in order to generate fresh income. This is one of those things, okay? So the club currently doesn't have enough funds, and will regain at least 20 million before we continue to spend anything. All right, so you can't just keep spending it now willy-nilly, and that's definitely pointed at my dad. If you're unable to generate enough money within the agreed time period, your board will take control of your budget and begin selling your players. Yes, they're going to start selling your players off your back. The control will then be relinquished back to you when either the cash has been raised or the transfer window has been closed. I like that, because it punishes you for going a little bit too silly. Should you take over a club that's already got a negative transfer budget, you'll face a more challenging start in the dugout. No handouts here. Okay, so now we are talking about the financial fair play. According to this, if you break financial fair play but you're the Manchester City manager, nothing happens. All right? It doesn't say that. Officially, it doesn't say that. But it should, because that is realistic. Okay, so, it was 100 financial fair play, and we still don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, I digress. Should a club breach financial fair play rules in the game, there are now new sanctions in place, including squad size and transfer spending restrictions, as well as fines and competition income being withheld. So you won't even get your end-of-season bonuses for, if you're in the Bundesliga and you win the league, I think it's like 18 million, something like that, or 90 million. You won't even get that, which I love, by the way. I absolutely love that. If your club is close to breaching the rules, there will be a note in the finances menu to explain that your wage budget is locked. There we go. But again, 3/4 of the page there is empty. And that is tiny. So, just make it bigger. Just make it bigger. You'll notice that when a club is placed into administration, you receive a new news item that shows their net debt, profit, and loss graphs. I don't tend to see a lot of clubs go into administration on Football Manager, and I don't know if I've ever took a club into administration. I don't know whether they automatically weirdly find the money or something. But should your club go into administration, be notified that the transfer funds have been withdrawn, and that the administrators will listen to and consider any reasonable transfer offers that are made for your players. So again, they're taking over your finances by taking over the players, etc. So which is all good, by the way. A club can also now enter a company voluntary agreement, a government bond that allows an insolvent company to pay off their creditors over a fixed period while they continue to operate. So obviously we'll lump on debt into the club, which you'll see in the financial section underneath the debts page. Okay, new and dynamic income streams. Now, this is not like, oh, you can now spend your wages. Unfortunately, no, but it is still good, I think. So it's not just expenditure. We've made changes. Now there's greater fluctuation in the income your club receives, thereby creating more dynamism and intrigue in every career. And I love a bit of intrigue. My biggest wish for Football Manager is to have more random things to happen. All right, Luton got from the Vanarama National League up into the Premier League in 10 seasons. I will never see that on Football Manager, but it should happen every now and then. And it could happen if we had more fluctuations and more dynamism and intrigue in every career. However, I don't think that's what this is going to mean. But still, that's what I would love. Indeed, you'll now see that we've included fixed-length TV deals. The news items indicating these show changes in a deal's value and what percentage effects, I really should have my glasses on, that has on the competition prize money for the seasons the new agreement covers. Okay. I'm not quite sure what that entails completely, but there we go. It might be just the way I read it. This is now about season tickets here, so contextual information on parachute payments and details, if you got relegated, obviously, on how your ticket prices and sponsorship have changed based on whether you've been promoted or relegated. There's also a new season ticket league table located in the competition overview drop-down, which shows the clubs in order of the tickets sold and the revenue recouped. I like that, but I don't know how much I'm going to use that. And I'm pretty sure other people, I'm not quite sure how much they are going to use that. But, okay. Everything like that is a cool addition, all right? It might be something that somebody who really takes a dive into the financial stuff has a look at that. Unfortunately, I don't think it means that you can actually change how much your season tickets are going to cost. That basically is going to be done by the board. But you can look at how much it is. Which I don't know whether it's worse for me. I think that might be worse for me. I can't change it, but I can see it change. I'd rather just not see it. I don't know. Again, that's a third of the page down the bottom there with... And all this... Look how tiny that writing is. Just make that bigger. I know, Okay. This greater information is all designed to improve the clarity of how finances work in-game. Less money will now be described as general... Oh, bang my mic. As general or other in finances. Alright, so you're going to get a bit more of an indication of what things are instead of just general or other, and you're like, well, what does that mean? Because I'm spending way too much money there, and I don't know how to change that. I don't think you're going to be able to change it, but you'll know what it is now. And committed spend calculations for future transfers have been improved. Additionally, loan income. Does that mean, then, this bit here, sorry to go back, committed calculation for future transfers have been improved. Does that mean when my dad keeps loading on installments, it's going to come back and bite me in the ass a lot more than what it does already? Because I'm all for that. The competitive side of me in the rebuild versus videos are coming out here. Additionally, loan income and expenditure are now listed as separate from permanent deal income and expenditure. That's something I've always wondered about, because, like, you know, when you loan a player out and it has like a monthly fee, do you ever see that? I've always wondered that. Do you ever see that in your transfer budget? Because if you've got 100% of your transfer budget income back into the transfer budget, I don't think I ever see that happening. But maybe we'll see it now. We just know we can't get it back. I don't know. For clubs in the lower divisions, they will now turn professional at the point of promotion rather than at the end of the season. Conversely, there will also be more discernible sporting and financial setbacks from not switching back from professional to semi-professional following relegation in the lower divisions. I don't know about that. I kind of wish it was more random and a bit smarter, where it'd be like, okay, we're at a point where we can go professional, even if it is mid-season. Like, I don't know what the rules are, whether they can do that mid-season or not, or they just announce that they are going to do it next season. But I feel like it's a bit weird that they have to rely on going professional on promotion, because, like, I guess a team who's like semi-pro from like Vanarama National North goes into the Vanarama National League. Maybe they're not quite ready to go professional, and they stay semi-professional for a season with the plans to then put in place to go professional. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? My thoughts are they need to fill the page a little bit more here. Our most intelligent market yet. We're right at the end of the page now. This is the bits that I was alluding to earlier. The upgrades to AI squad builder and the finances system dramatically level up the immersion in FM24, which at the end of the day is the whole point of this beautiful game that we play. We want to be more immersed into our games, and that's what makes every single save that we do better. Adding greater variety, dynamism, and competition to every career. If you're going to make it harder for me, perfect. Cool. In the coming weeks, you'll learn more about this year's other features, including new intermediary role and how they'll help you offload players. I thought that was supposed to be today. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that was on the to-do list today, or it's going to be later on this week. I don't know. But there we go. The introduction of target for players, which we spoke about already as well. So maybe there's going to be more of these coming out. Changes to the match engine, which probably I think it was next week, with a refresh of set pieces. So next week when we do one of these videos, we're going to be having a look at the match engine and set pieces. I'm excited for that. Definitely the set pieces side of things. And I'm excited for match engine. I hope we get to see a video of Nick. I want to see Nick do something. Nick Madden, who's one of the head guys at Football Manager, especially in the match engine department. I just love listening to him talk about it. And much more in the general gameplay blogs. Make sure you're also signed up to FMFC. Make sure you do that, by the way. You just get so many benefits. You might as well just do it. Okay. Overall, I like what they had to say. I'm a little bit curious on some of the stuff because it wasn't exactly explained as much as what I thought it would be. But maybe that's going to be at a later date. They're going to show us instead of, like, you know, just write to us in these blogs. Because I really enjoyed the video last week that they did. So I'm wondering whether they're going to do some kind of video to show it a little bit more. But yeah, what's your thoughts on these guys? I mean, outside the fact that they need to fill the page on the skin, I quite like the additions here. Anything that makes it more immersive, makes it more difficult for us players, and makes me need to think a little bit more. Obviously, that's going to challenge me, especially with the rebuilds, because when you simulate a full season, we might not be able to do anything like that. So it might cause trouble for me, but that's for me to worry about, not you guys. But yeah, okay. I'm really pleased with the AI and their the squad building stuff. I love that because I've always wondered about that. Sometimes it seems like it was the case. Sometimes maybe they're just pot luck and they signed some weird and wacky players that you never thought, you know, a certain manager would make. But there we go. I want to see Sean Dyche just signing big meaty lads up front and people who can cross a ball. That's what I want to see for Everton next season. You got Beto up front, give them some people who can cross. But yeah, what's your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments section. Make sure you're subscribed because we are very close now to 100,000. If you can help me get there, I'd really appreciate it. Cheers, guys.